CRTV Production Center, I am Benin Bumagana. This is the 7:30 news.
I urge you once again to put on your face masks, to wash your hands regularly, and to consult a physician or any other health personnel if you notice any symptoms. This is the only way to save lives and to curb the spread of the virus.
Once again, good evening. The foundation stone for the construction of an ultra-modern disarmament, demobilization and reintegration center in the southwest region has been laid Miselele in Tiko. The exercise was carried out by the national coordinator of the DDR, Fayengo Francis, who was accompanied by Governor Bernard Okalia Bilai. And we'll be getting more on that story from Mukwele Princeville at Duma. Over in the northwest region, we also hear that as far as the DDR is concerned, those who are ex-combatants there are already showing a lot of trust and confidence in the government for the promises made so far, as we hear in this report by Winston Lebga.
Ex-separatist fighters have been learning skills in pig farming, poultry, carpentry, woodwork, ICT, auto mechanics, tailoring, and a lot more. And today they are prepared to offer their services to society.
I've never known how to raise chicks like this, and there's piggery here that I've learned this year, and I've learned driving here because I have my driving license.
I know how to read and write. I know how to raise fowls. I know hairdressing.
There are plans by the government to move the former separatist fighters to a new multipurpose vocational training center situated on the Bafut-Bamenda Airport Road.
The dormitories are already over 12. We have 6 workshops, but as we speak, the government is carrying out the equipment of the center, and as soon as the equipment phase of the center is ready, we are going to transfer the children to the new site.
There are 203 ex-separatist fighters with 155 boys, 21 children and 27 women launched here at the Bamenda DDR Center.
That was rather Eric Langmia Wufo. Bureau members of the 9 committee at the Upper House of Assembly, the Senate, start examining bills next week after their election into the different functions. Senate correspondent Charles Anyangwe revisits the election of the Bureau members at the Yaoundé Conference Center in a plenary sitting chaired by one of the vice presidents of the Senate, for Tabe Tando. His report.
The list of senators assigned to the different committees were pasted on this notice board at the Upper House of Parliament for the lawmakers to cross-check to know to which committee they belong. After the verification, senators met during this plenary sitting, chaired by one of the vice presidents of the Senate, for Tabe Tando, during which instructions were given as to how the elections will unfold. All the 9 committees met separately to elect a 4-man bureau made up of a president, a vice president, and 2 secretaries. The Secretary General of the Senate, Michel Mevame Boutou, the CPDM Parliamentary Group Leader, Zhang Oyono Calvin, and for Tabe Tando supervised the elections. The status quo was maintained in all the 9 committees, but for the Social, Cultural and Family Affairs Committee, where Senator Onuringam replaced Senator Vanegangsin Moshigel as president. Following the putting in place of the 9 committees and their bureau members, they will begin in the days ahead to examine bills sent to them by the government.
The United Nations has saluted Cameroon's successful organization of the African Nations Championship earlier this year. The special representative of the Secretary General of the United Nations, Luceni Fall, extended the praise to the Minister Delegate to the Minister of External Relations in charge of relations with the Commonwealth, Felix Mbayu. Charles Ebune reports.
First, an extension of the condolences of the United Nations to the Cameroonian state following the death of Minister Adum Gargum for Islamic Affairs.
It was a big loss for all Cameroonians, and I present my condolences to the president and the family.
And then a UN appreciation of Cameroon's assistance to the crisis-hit Equatorial Guinea during an explosion.
Congratulate Cameroon for what the government has done in terms of solidarity vis-à-vis Equatorial Guinea.
The UN diplomat also exchanged with Minister Felix Mbayu on key issues pertaining to the troubles in the northwest, southwest, and far north regions of the country.
The United Nations stand ready to continue to support the unity, the peace, and the stability of Cameroon.
The United Nations Regional Office for Central Africa oversees principally CEMAC countries and neighboring ones.
And the stability.
The president of the Betua Military Court and the state prosecutor have been installed into their functions with an exhortation for them to demonstrate a high level of professionalism as they carry out their functions. Here is Mokum Robert Achu with details.
The judicial experts, 13 in number, were called upon by the officiating judge, Justice Mbela, Vice President of the Betua Court of Appeal, to serve as valuable advisors to the court by providing opinions not tainted by either religion or tribal bias.
I will not be able to serve as a real estate expert in Betua and assist the court in a related litigation with my opinion.
Although most of the judicial experts who took the oath are in the real estate domain, an automobile expert was also sworn in with the active mandate expiring after 2021. Justice Mbela, Vice President of the Betua Court of Appeal, encouraged them to assist the courts with the best opinions by not relenting in improving their know-how. He also made it clear to them that they were not immune to prosecution for malpractice or otherwise by their proximity to the bench.
As part of the government's steady fight to halt the spread of the COVID-19 pandemic, the government has created COVID-19 testing centers where persons can go and be tested free of charge. Alice Mbe brings details on the different testing centers and how they operate. Her report.
Amongst the COVID-19 testing centers created in Cameroon, Yaoundé counts up to 11 different units which are operational.
In Biamasi, we have the esplanade of the Yaoundé 6th Council, in Cité-Vert, Palais des Sports Polyvalent. And then we have a corps de police that is also within Cité-Vert, and then we have Central Hospital. In Jongolo, we have the esplanade of the Omi Sports Stadium, and then we have EPC Jongolo, the hospital itself, and then we have Jamo Hospital. In the health district of Efulan, we have the CMA of Ahala. We equally have in Colbison CMA Oyumeba, as well as in Kondongo, we have the esplanade of Kondengi Central Prison.
The screening pole at the Yaoundé Sport Complex is solely reserved by the government for persons traveling out of the country.
When they come, they are being tested and the samples are being sent to the different laboratories. After 24 hours, they can download the results themselves. But if they want, they can come here after the 24 hours and take the physical results.
The creation of additional sites is in view.
We're trying to expand so that there should be the accessibility to other health sites.
Health specialists are calling on the population to go for testing at the various centers close to their neighborhoods.
Let's talk about the use of traditional medicine as treatment for COVID-19. It was a rainy day today in the nation's capital, but the rains couldn't stop frequenters of drugstores where offers for traditional medicine as treatment for COVID-19 are in great quantities. In the wake of a rapid rise in the the disease. These shops are flooded and traditional healers say they are experiencing a boom in their business. Beatrice Losamba visited the Treatment Healers Corner to see for herself what is happening and brought back this report.
It rains customers at the traditional healers. His services have become priced as COVID-19 infections rise rapidly in the country.
COVID-19 pain. I've taken to the Ministry of Scientific Research, where they've started carrying out the research on it, and I even won a prize, second prize, GSIC prize for the center region. It works against all the signs and symptoms of COVID-19.
He says he's had to create more space for storage of the COVID-19 magic potion, especially since he got green light from the government.
The product that we have discovered, we should take them to Lanacom for the various laboratory tests so that the production can go to the pharmacy.
Visiting the Traditional Healers Corner, one has this impression that traditional pharmacopoeia has left shrines and forests and sits next to modern medicine. The process to licensing it pending.
Administrative authorities in the far north region have been sensitizing the population on the strict respect of barrier measures against COVID-19. The SGO for Mayo Sava Division, Roger Safo, on a tour to Mora, also insisted on school heads to ensure that hand-washing stations are placed in the different schools. Ayuk John Ashu reports.
By virtue of its location along the Douala-N'Djamena corridor, bounded by two neighboring countries, Mayo Sava Divisional Headquarters, Mora, is highly cosmopolitan. According to Yerima Bakwa, head of the Mora Health District, 28 cases of the coronavirus infection have so far been recorded in Mora with 0 deaths. To reawaken the population on the scrupulous respect of government barrier measures, the SGO for Mayo Sava has been touring schools, markets and other public arena with his face mask to lead by example.
We urge them to respect the barrier measure within their family, within their school, and in the entire Mayo Sava division.
The awareness campaign in the company of local health officials also enabled the senior administrative officer to caution the population against false information about the deadly coronavirus. Opinion leaders, traditional and religious authorities have been exhorted to spread the anti-COVID-19 campaign across Mayo Sava Division.
Stay connected to health, not COVID this time. Let's get over to Douala to talk about cholera and the fight against the disease in that part of the country, which is gradually introducing itself. Let's get details from our correspondents in CRTV Littoral.
Since the emergence of the COVID-19 in Cameroon last year, Mwanku subdivision with a population of 17,000 has not registered any cases. The authorities attribute this to continuous education campaigns.
The council is doing many things, sensibilization of people.
We use our churches and our chiefdoms to sensitize the population. The medical team is in place and is doing a wonderful job. I have even cancelled so many ceremonies that we are supposed to hold in Mwanko here, and those ones that cannot take more than 50 people are authorized, because at least at that level they can respect social distancing.
This, however, has not been easy.
The main problem we have here is at the level of funerals, which is very difficult to control. You can give instructions, you can advise the family, but at the end it's very difficult to control the population who come for the funerals. But that notwithstanding, the measures and the follow-up continue at our level.
The subdivision has a resident medical doctor and a team ready to attend to all emergencies. As the fight against COVID-19 continues, the wish of administrative and municipal authorities is that no positive case be detected in Mwanku subdivision.
Proprietors of private secondary and private educational institutions in the 3 northern regions of the country have been trained on the proper management of funds at their disposal by government. The seminar in Garua was organized by the Ministry of Finance, presided over by Governor Jean Abate Idi. Wilson Mengole reports.
In areas considered education priority zones, where teachers of private, primary and secondary institutions go without pay for months, the 325 million franc CFA subvention from the government of Cameroon to primary and secondary institutions in the 3 northern regions of the country will go a long way to ensure the efficient training of students and pupils in these regions.
The money that government gives us, first, is to help teachers. We have permanent teachers as private and we have part-time. So this money is not concerned those part-time. It's only for permanent teachers, not administration members of the school, but only permanent teachers. So it's to add their salary.
The seminar organized by the Ministry of Finance was equally an occasion to arm proprietors on the terms granting state subvention and the penalties in case of misappropriation.
We are here to train the owner of the private school of basic and secondary education how to manage subvention. We are here to tell them what is a subvention, how to apply to obtain subvention, how to manage subvention. There are many criteria in the Ministry of Basic Education and Ministry of Secondary Education. Firstly, you must be a legal school.
The goal of the educational community in the northern regions is to see that proprietors raise their bar of their educational establishments.
The late Cameroonian activist and politician Bernard Djonga has been laid to rest in his native Bangwa near Bangante in the Ndé subdivision of the West Region. The head of state, President Paul Biya, was represented at the burial this Saturday by the Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development, Gabriel Mbairobe. Ngu Henry reports.
The late Bernard Djonga was posthumously decorated as Officer of the National Order of Valor by the personal representative of the Head of State, Agriculture and Rural Development Minister, Gabriel Mbairobe. It was preceded by eulogies.
Has done a lot for agriculture in Cameroon, and I hope that the next generations will take him as an example. Yeah, he believed that agriculture can really develop this country.
He was convinced of the development of Cameroon through rural development.
The ruler of Bangwa, Chief Njampu Chachwang Anik Juliu, has expressed thanks to the head of state Paul Biya for joining the people of the chiefdom during the difficult moment through his representative. Bernard Djonga was an agricultural engineer and the president of the Citizens Association for the Collective Interest since 2003. In 1986, he battled for farmers' rights and founded the Farmers' Voice newspaper. Bernard Djonga was also the Secretary General of the Network for African Dynamic and a spokesperson for the Coalition for Food Sovereignty in Cameroon. And in 2004, he campaigned against the importation of surplus frozen chicken from Europe. The late national president of the Believe in Cameroon Crack Party died last February the 21st at the age of 66.
Despite our efforts, COVID-19 plunged many families into mourning and seriously hampered the functioning of our economy and society.
Time for us to cut into the second canto of this newscast and talk about our fight against COVID. Some more. Talking about COVID-19, today we zoom into the treatment of persons who are greatly touched by the disease to say that respiratory equipments are mostly used these days in COVID-19 treatment centers to help save as many lives as possible. Just how are these equipment used? We meet Baldwin Sama at the Public Health Emergency Unit. Hello, Baldwin. Tell us, how are these equipment
used?
used?
Good evening to you, Benin Bumagana. They are often used to save lives, especially for those tested positive for COVID-19 in the different treatment centers in the 10 different regions of Cameroon. Respiratory assistance, how important are they, especially during this period that we have the resurgence for the pandemic in Cameroon? Let's discuss that tonight with Dr. Frank Amabo, who is our guest. Good evening to you, Doctor.
Good evening, Baldwin.
Respiratory assistance in the different treatment centers, especially Oka here in Yaoundé during this particular period, how important are they?
Good. First, what do we know about COVID-19? It's important to say that we know that COVID-19 primarily affects the respiratory system and sometimes can lead to very severe breathing difficulties. Unfortunately, with COVID-19, and statistics have shown that almost 20% of persons with the disease will develop severe to critical disease, often needing oxygen. Thus, respiratory assistance is critical and very important in managing COVID-19. So overall, equipment and supplies such as oxygen concentrators are important and indispensable in treatment centers such as OCA to manage severe or critical forms of COVID-19.
Thank you so much, Doctor. And to avoid getting yourself into a situation where you will need the respiratory assistance, we simply have to adhere to the different outlined barrier measures limiting the spread of COVID-19 in Cameroon, wherever we find ourselves in the 10 different regions of the country. Back to you, Benin Bumagana.
And thank you very much, Baldwin Samaf and Cayman. The fight against the coronavirus pandemic in Baham in the West region has been intensified with a donation of 300 cartons of soap to the population to encourage a regular washing of hands. The donations were made by the question number 1 at the West Regional Council, Honorable Bena Fongang. Kelvin Nembo reports.
Prevention remains the safest and cheapest cure for COVID-19. This explains why Honorable Bernard Fongang thought it wise to offer 300 cartons of soap to the population of the Upper Plateau Division and encourage them to respect COVID-19 barrier measures. The beneficiaries include supporters of the CBDM sections in Batsi, Baham, Bamenjo, and Bangu, who received 240 cartons of soap. The Upper Plateau Divisional Committee for the fight against COVID-19 received 50 cartons of soap, while the promoter of a center for vulnerable persons received the remaining 10 cartons. The SDO for the Upper Plateau, Yampen Usmano, thanked the donor for his countless humanitarian activities and invited the population to fully get involved in the fight against the killer diseases. The West region remains the third hardest hit by COVID-19 in Cameroon, and the Upper Plateau is feeling the COVID-19 hit as well. This explains why administrative authorities have suspended funeral ceremonies until further notice.
The 53rd session of the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa is going on with seasoned and high-level panelists from within and outside Africa, elucidating Africa's sustainable industrialization and diversification in the digital era in the context of COVID-19. My colleague, Caroline Okie and Norma now looks into how industrialization and digitalization in the COVID-19 context can boost Africa's economies.
Sometimes it is extremely difficult to grasp the opportunities that all crises very subtly conceal, and the COVID-19 health pandemic crisis is not an exception.
The opportunities to recenter our development agenda towards a more inward-looking development agenda.
Recently, the Ministry of Industrial Development hosted an industrial fair with a view of moving Cameroon to not only being a pharmaceutical hub, but
we're equally looking at how to make Cameroon's industrial development plan, the PDI, more operational by refocusing it into special economic zones.
Equally important is the renewable energy capacity that exists in Central Africa.
In the north and extreme north of Cameroon, we have the highest levels of solar radiation. That could be the base to promote solar energy.
In addition to that, digital economy and knowledge economy offers unique opportunities.
Here I'm talking of the e-commerce, for example. Our youth can play an important role in developing new applications.
Whether we like it or not, the COVID-19 has opened unique opportunities on the importance of localizing our industries, our procurements, and value chains of small and medium-sized enterprises. For it is those small and medium-sized enterprises that will create the 60 million jobs we need per year for the youths.
Members of the Cameroon Party for National Reconciliation, PCRN of Cabral-Libi, have been educated on their basic rights in a workshop organized at the party's headquarters in Kondongo here in Yaoundé. During the workshop, Cabral-Libi called on his followers to register massively on the electoral list ahead of future elections. He was interviewed in this excerpt by Clarence Nge.
Is to prepare our comrades, because many of them are engaged in politics. Many of them are young people. So now, those of them who engage themselves because of a person, because of Cabral-Libi or another person, it is time for us now. We have finished the installation of the party in the center region and the 70 subdivisions. So we have called here the leaders of this subdivision to tell them what is the deep conviction of our engagement, what is the ideology of the Cameroonian Party for National Reconciliation. That's why I congratulate the regional manager, who is Alois Olinga, for this initiative. I'm just there to give them my support and my...
Let's get to one of our lead stories. 149 gendarmes of the rank and file are now set to take responsibility as sub-officers after the graduation ceremony yesterday at Kanyaya. The 149 gendarmes receive specialized induction trainings that makes them fit for command administrative and anti-terrorist operational lessons. The graduation ceremony was chaired by the commander of the 1st Gendarmerie Region, Brigadier General Hosseini Jibo, representative of the Secretary of State at the Ministry of Defense in charge of the National Gendarmerie, Galax Etoga. Kilian Datndifon reports.
The Gendarmerie High Command Schools and Training Centers Kangyayap in Yaoundé, March 19, a special event within a special context. These 22 gendarmes represent their peers, 149, who have undertaken training of the second stage of the Gendarmerie course that prepared them for more daunting tasks in their core: command, protection of citizens and their property, law and order, and fight against terrorism. The number is reduced to make sure that barrier measures against COVID-19 are strictly respected. The commander of the 1st Gendarmerie Region, Brigadier General Hosseini Jibo, who represented the Secretary of State at the Ministry of Defense in charge of the National Gendarmerie, Galaxy Toga, told the laureates that they had the best opportunity of training and to take more responsibility in command, fight against terror, among other duties. The training lasted 3 months because the trainees only went through a kind of induction after having acquired the skills of 6 months that prepared them for preliminary operations in the National Gendarmerie.
We talk sports and culture with activities of the Cameroon Labour Sports Federation. As part of activities, therefore, the Cameroon Customs Department football team beat the Forestry Engineer squad 3-0. Romeo Kenye tells us more.
The 5th edition of Intercooperative Championship holds at the Presidential Guard Sports Complex in Melen, Yaoundé. The opening game pit AS Douane against Forestry Engineers. The Customs team in white largely dominate with a 3-0 bashing.
The match was a good match. The Customs team won by 3-0. We are very happy for this victory, and we hope that we continue to win other matches.
5 football outfits are taking part at the tournament organized by the Cameroon Labour Sports Federation.
The team have an organization. The organization has been put in place by the director of Custom, Mr. Adrian Fongod Nuvaga. I think that with that organization, we can go very far. we hope to win if the cup. That's our ambition.
Table tennis and handball feature amongst other disciplines this year. FECASTRA has been existing since 2004 with aim promoting the practice of sport in the work milieu.
Thank you for following up with the 7:30 news. I'll be back here tomorrow, but at 8:30, Lucrece Mebenga is going to be here for what is making news that is in the French language. Have a wonderful evening. God bless you.
I urge you once again to put on your face masks, to wash your hands regularly, and to consult a physician or any other health personnel if you notice any symptoms. This is the only way to save lives and to curb the spread of the virus.